The daily call. It's December 4th, 2014, Thursday morning, and this is from last night's appointment. I'm going to give a little bit of history here, but this is what it's all about. About 2 weeks ago, a gentleman in Sacramento joined our company, went through a workshop. And when we did that workshop with him, we ascertained and we found, back when we were done, we ended up doing $300 a month IUL on him. And we did the term policy, which could be rated up because his wife has got rated up issues, but ended up being $201 a month for term insurance. We then did a meeting, and we got him placed into his PNC location, and he began his advertising. His advertising began and commenced this weekend. Several people started to go to the workshops, and last night was the first appointment, the first the interview process, the interview post him starting with us. His first workshop interview. And this is what we found last night. We're going to share how to break down that financial analysis because this is about call finding the money. But last night we found a 37-year-old male that went through the workshop. And he has a $250 a month Western Reserve Life, which means he belongs to whom? That's a WFG agent. He has a full-time job. He puts in $200 a month in his 401k plan. They match it 100%. He's also got $100,000 in his 401k plan. We're going to show how to tackle that today. And we're going to basically get started there on those aspects right there. So this is a starting point right there, and I'm really, for lack of a better word, ecstatic on that part of it. And it's a process that here's a person that came through advertising it. We did a few weeks ago, got interviewed by me. We moved money with him, and in his first week in the field, his first appointment, mind you, this is what we found. So the question is, how you don't replace for the sake of replacing. You've got to better their position. And when you're trying to better their position, it's very important to take a look at that money, at those numbers right there, and let's see, what do we want to tackle first? Now, I got to tell you, I did a Western Reserve Life. I replaced 3 Western Reserve policies 2 nights ago, and I had a policy that was paying $150 a month into Western Reserve, and she had $250,000 death benefit, and we matched it apples to apples with LSW, same $150. It actually gave about $272,000 of death benefit, and at the age of 65, with the same interest rate, we had $100,000 more in cash value. So when we go back and finish this case with this young lad, we're going to have him bring out his policy, his statements and stuff of that nature. Replacing the Western Reserve Life is easy. Why was there such a difference in the cash value of the Western Reserve product versus LSW? The answer, cost of insurance and expenses. The client that bought that policy had gone, that particular one had gone through some FEG meetings, and she thought she had living benefits because she had gone through our workshops. The only thing that policy had was that they was diagnosed to be terminally ill and had to die within 12 months. No ABRs, no critical illness, no chronic. And the agent lied to her on that part. Then, on that particular replacement, the agent was involved. She thought she was getting a 20 pay, and the illustration she had showed a pay to age 100. I did an illustration. We actually went from a 20 pay down to a 10 pay in that case for her 3 kids that were in their 20s. And we ended up doing 300, 300, and 350. But long story short, on that particular case, the agent says it's impossible. All companies must make payments in policy to age 100. This is what a WFG agent was telling my rep, my client who wants to be my rep, that what we were saying is not true, that policies had to be paid to age 100. I've done single premiums. I've done 5 pays. I've done 10 pays. Astonished. So I want to tell you up front, on this 37-year-old from last night, the $250 a month that he's putting into the IUL with Western Reserve, his parents also have IUL policy at Western Reserve, we will replace that contract. That will be a piece of cake. We will replace that policy. What I want to talk about today and demonstrate, and we'll get into the software to demonstrate it properly, number one, I want the $200 a month 401k. And I know I've got matching funds. I know that he's got $200 a month, and I want to ask the million-dollar question in the room. I've got a 37-year-old male who has a $400 a month going into his savings. He saved more before. He reduced it down. He's doing $400 a month, $200 his money, $200 from the company. And I want him to put $200 a month into LSW. And I have to recognize that he's got a $100,000 head start on me. He's got $100,000 in the 401k, and I'm starting from scratch. Can I beat his plan? Anybody want to take a bet on that? He's got $100,000. He's putting in double the money. Which one will be better in the end? So what we're going to do, we're going to build the chassis. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're teaching software on LSW today. We're going to click on, you're going to go in your software and you're going to hit Start Illustration. You have it downloaded on your computer. Now it's going to ask you to log in. It's always a login deal, so you got to log in. So we're logging in. And that's something that's kind of exciting. We're going to click on New Illustration. This happens to be a person in California, so I'm going to go like this. I'm going to go Flex Life. I'm going to leave this male, but I know as a 37-year-old, I know he's preferred. I asked a lot of questions last night. And now I'm going to go in and build this policy. The first thing I'm going to do is go to Death Benefit and Funding. And for this illustration purposes, we are going to do minimum death benefit max cash value. I'm in competition here, and I intend to win this competition. This is no picnic, but I need some numbers from this illustration. I'm going to do it on a monthly basis. And I'm going to put away a specified amount of money. Not a lot. And am I having an issue here? What did I do wrong? Why am I having a hard time getting this to open? I hit specified amount. Okay, I'm going to scroll up. I must have hit something. My bad. I got minimum death benefit. Now I'm going to go in here. I'm going to put in $200 a month. We're going to pay this from year 1 to age 69. And then we're going to come in here. We're going to solve for income. And we're going to do loans only. Now I'm going to leave it at the 8.2. I could move to 8.3, but I'm going to leave it at 8.2. I do want to change my rider years. I want to show my income as fast as possible, so I'm going to click that open. My computer is moving at a snail's pace today, and I'm not absolutely certain why. And I just need a couple of numbers out of here. First thing I want you to notice, I've got a death benefit of $186,499. I've got living benefits, but right now I'm just going after the cash. I'm just going to do a quick view. I just need to know what the tax-free income is in this contract at age 70. And so we're going to scroll down. You can see right there, $41,244. We're now going to grab our calculator. And the first calculator I'm going to go to, so everybody's on the same page with me, I've got $100,000 here. So I'm going to go in here, and I'm rounding my guy's age off to 40, which means I have a higher insurance cost. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this menu down, and I am going to put $100,000 here. And if we had $100,000 in indexing, just for education purposes, we're going to show that, but we don't have $100,000 in that IUL illustration. But there's a reason I'm doing this, and I'm going to scroll this down for a quick second. I want everybody to see that my actual rate of return on my 401k from 1999 to 2013 is 3.36%. And I can't illustrate at 11.53. I'd like to. My actual rate of return in my index universal life was 11.53, but I can't. I know I've got fees. I've got a 3% average fee. I've got 40% tax and all those things. So I'm going to go to the other calculator. I just wanted to extrapolate this number right here to 3.36. And I don't have $100,000 in my index universal life because I don't know if I have access to it. So I'm going to go in here to my 401k information. There's my $200 a month. Company's matching it 100%, so he gets $400. Current value, $100,000. At rate of return, 3.36%. My annual fees at 2.99. His money at age 70 is $269,000. Now we're going to go in here to put my numbers in. There's my retirement income from the index life, $41,244. State and federal tax at 40%. And you can see right here, his income lasted out of his 401k 1, 2, 3, 4 years and done. He had a $100,000 head start. He had double the contribution, and I clobbered him. How strong is that, folks? How strong is that? I went up against a guy that's got a match and a $100,000 head start, and my life insurance policy, no matter how you look at and slice and dice it, my $41,000 of projected income against his $41,000 of projected net income, I did just fine. He did not beat me. What if I increased his rate of return? Okay? Of a $100,000 head start, it is going to make a difference. What if his return was 8.2? Whoops. Remember, that's not the cell I get to touch. I've got to go on the block before. Let's just say his return was 8.2. If he made the same return without losses in his 401k, he's got a $100,000 head start, double the money, and guess what? He is going to win this race. Oops. You can see why. He's out of money at age 90. He had 20 years of income. But he doesn't have that rate of return now, does he? Now I'm going to win the race. We saw this race right here at 8.2. He had a $100,000 head start. Now we're going to change the rules. We're going to go back into our LSW software, and we're going to make it interesting. So I'm going back in my funding. And what I'm doing, folks, is so you understand, I am changing the premium the first 5 years. That's $2,400, and I'm moving $60,000. I'm leaving 40% for Uncle Sam. I'm moving $60,000 over. Now that's $12,000 extra a year. That's $1,000. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to go $1,200 a month from years 1 through 5. And then I'm adding a row, specified amount, and I'm dropping back down to my $200 a month, years 6 through age 69. Instead of $186,000 death benefit, I've got a $597 death benefit. And we are now going to go in you know what? You got to make sure that's correct. 12. $60. Yeah, that's correct. Okay. So now I'm going to go to my quick view. I need my new income stream. So now I got an income of $112,435. So now we go back to our calculator. Going to go back into my 401k information. I'm going to look at my numbers here. I'm not changing any of these numbers. And I'm going to go in here, and I am going to input my new income stream, which is $112,435. And once that is inputted, which we just did, he can't compete. I moved the taxable money over into the life insurance contract, and just like Ed Slott said, cannot beat it. He lasts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years and out. But Dave, what if you got what if it costs them 50% to move the money? Okay, let's just do that. Let's just say we lose 50% the tax and penalty, not 40%. Let's just say 50%, and I'm okay with that, by the way. So let's just say for grins, we're not able to move $12,000 a year into the life insurance contract, and we're going to get hammered just a little bit more, not much, but I'm going to go into my inputs, death benefit and funding, and instead of moving $60,000, I'm going to move $50,000 over 5 years, which is $10,000 a year plus the $200. It's going to give me $835 plus it's going to put me at about $1,035 a month instead of the $1,200 a month. So we're going to reduce that so we're only putting in $50% of the money being moved. We're losing 50% of tax man. Remember, it does reduce my death benefit a little bit, and again, I don't have any issues with that. And now we're going to go into my quick view just to extrapolate the new cash flow. It's going to be reduced a little bit, but we're going to scroll down, and we're at $100,869. $100,869. We're going to go in here. We're going to go back into our calculator. And we're going to put the new income stream of $100,869. And please note, we're letting them have the 8.2%. We let them match us. If we let them go at the same return as us, if we put the rate of return at 3.36, which was their actual rate of return, and we go to the next page, they last 2 years. Okay, we're definitely taking questions and comments on this. Okay, there's a lot of questions here. Oh, let's see. Why do you show a tax at 40%? I'm assuming 30% federal, 10% state. Bob T just says that 3.36 rate of return shown as over what period? 1999 through 2013. That's the actual rate of return of the S&P 500. Why did you pick 1,200 as a number? The 1,200 figure represents he was putting in $200 a month himself out of pocket, and I was taking $60,000 of the $100,000 lump sum, and I was allocating $40,000 initially for Uncle Sam. So if you took $60,000 and divided it by 5 years, that's $1,000. That's $12,000 a year. That's $1,000 a month. Add back in the 200 he was doing. That's how I got to the 1,200, James. Then I went back and said, what if we lost 50% of the money? We didn't get to take 100,000 of 60,000. I went down to 50, and 50,000 was 835. 835 plus the 200 gave me the 1035. Okay, and Bonnie had the same question. How come you don't add his 200 that he pays in? I did. And Jerry Price says the 10% penalty is pre-59.5, and that takes us to the age. I thought the 50% was pretty fair between state and federal and the penalty. So I'm going to open up Mr. Price's mic first because I want to make sure he feels like I didn't shortchange that at all. So where are you, Jerry? There you are. Jerry, what do you think of that, sir?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you now.
Got me?
Yes.
Okay. No, that's awesome. I just wanted to make sure that the comment was made that we do have that 10% penalty before 59.5.
That's why I went to. That's why I took 60. That's why I took 40%, right. And then I just took an extra 10%, reduced it down to 50%. And only 50% of the money was able to be moved because of tax and penalty. And I think that's a fair assessment.
No, I agree.
Now, with that said, even if you let them have the same rate of return, which is not factual because they have losses, if you put them at 8.2, they're getting slaughtered, aren't they?
Sure are.
And what if taxes go up?
Most people will say they are going to in the future.
Here's a guy that had a $100,000 head start on your life insurance policy. Here's a guy that was putting double the amount of money in the 401k, and we just beat it, didn't we?
Yes, sir.
How many people here are excited by that? Now watch this. What if our income was less on the IUL? Let's just say our income was $75,000 a year. We didn't have an 8.2 return. What if we were down to $75,000 a year? How did he make out? He still lasted. And if we had less return, he didn't have an 8.2. What if I went back and gave them the correct rate of return of the last 15 years at 3.36? I know I'm 11.53. But let's just assume I've got a couple of years where we didn't get a good. Let's reduce it. Let's be as conservative as humanly possible. At 75,000, they're in for 3 years. If I go down to 50,000, half my projected income, they still don't beat me. If I reduce my income to 50,000 a year, that's a disaster. If I decide in my LSW software that I don't want the projected income, but I want to go in and take what, this is the only life insurance company in America on a life policy as a guaranteed income rider. So now I'm going to go back into my funding, and I'm just curious, on this structure, what is my guaranteed income? I know I can do a guaranteed income. Instead of solve, what's my lifetime income benefit beginning at age 70? What's the guaranteed income stream? It's not going to be anywhere near the 100,000 of the on the projected side. But let's just take a look and see what the income stream is. I think it just changed all my numbers, but I'm going to go in there and take a look at it anyway. And it gives me 49,000 guaranteed income for life. 49,264. So if I go back into my calculator and say, you know what? I'm just going to take the guaranteed income stream of 49,264 for life. And how do I do against that 401k? And that 401k lasts 4 years against me. Is there anybody here who feels they can't move 401k funds at this point in time? Does anyone here feel you can't compete against a matching fund? Jerry, do you think you can move 401k money now?
Yes, sir. You've just sharpened my sword a little bit more than it was.
What did I do now?
No, just putting it in the progression that you did and being able to use the 401k calculator back and forth to demonstrate that is what I mean.
So now Doug asked a question. Doug says, what if he wants to retire at 65, not age 70? Okay, let's do that. We'll do that one, Doug, and we'll do that. And no, we're not moving the money in 1 year. We're moving it piecemeal over 5 years, Bonnie. Bonnie asked the question, are we trying to, so if we're showing 50%, how much more higher can it be than 50%? So, at any rate, but I agree. I'm a firm believer in putting that money over into an annuity and piecemealing it out over 5 years, or putting it into a qualified, SPIA for 5 years. That's what Norvell Brown did with his. It just got approved yesterday. He just got a $200,000 one approved over 5-year funding. So I'm a huge believer in putting the money into the SPIA and capturing all the money right there. So what I want to do now, I want to take Doug's request. Doug says, what if he retires at 65 instead of 70? So how do we do that, Doug? We go back into our illustration software. We have to extrapolate the income stream. So we're going to go in here, and we are going to change this up a little bit here. I'm going to take it. I'm going to go back to our projected income, because to me, I like projected income. But I got to go back to death benefit and funding. So we're going to go in here. We're going to change a couple things. Doug wants to see retirement at 65. So we're going to go here and fund the policy at year 6 through age 65 and retire. And we're not going to do lifetime income benefit. We're going to go back here for specified amount. Solve for income. I like loans only. Got that in there. And all I want to do is extrapolate an income stream. When you start 5 years earlier, it is a lower income. Significant lower income. But we got to find out what that is. So we're going to go to quick view, get a look at that income stream. And we're going to scroll down. And it's only $72,262 a year instead of that 100,000 marker. So we're going to write that down, $72,262. And we're going to go back up into the 401k calculator. We're going to change the 72,262. We're going to put that in there as the income stream. And I'm going to go back and be a nice guy. I'm going to increase the rate of return on the our competition up to what we're contributing. And I'm going to go back in here. And they last 9 years if they got the same rate of return. But if they got what the market actually did the last 15 years at 3.36, beginning their income at age 65 instead of age 70, they lasted 3 years of income, and we went out to age 120 again, projected. Both sides projected. And you're going to have to ask. I'm sorry?
Got to change it to 65.
On the calculator?
Back one screen, yeah. You're going to take the income at 7.
Yep, you're right. I've got to put the 65 in there. You're correct, sir. I think I've got to change the age on here to 37. Tiny detail. There we go. Now I'm going to go back in here and go to the next page. Thanks, Jerry. Tiny detail. It lasted 3 years.
Same 3, you're just younger.
Huh?
Same 3, you're just younger when it happens.
Right. And I'm going to go back in here again and put the 8.2 in play on their side just to see what it looks like. I think we're going to still get, it got them all, it got retirement income all the way through age 72. You got a choice. If they manage to have a 401k with the same rate of return as the Index Universal Life, which is not factual because they're taking risk and we're not, they would last 7 years versus ours lasting 50 plus years. I'm going to go do one other thing here. I want to draw that into a conclusion. But this is great stuff, folks. So why did we win? I mean, if you're a consumer and you're looking at 401k after I did this versus the index life plan, is there any reason whatsoever, any reason, to stay with that 401k plan? Anybody? Can anybody make that argument? Anyone? What if we reduce the fee to 0? Now, I've got insurance costs. I know 401ks got 4.413%. How big a role does the fee play? So if I go back to my 401k deal and I use the actual rate of return of 3.36, and I reduce the fees, let's say they had a magic account that charged them 0. I know that makes a big difference. In fact, they should annihilate me. Not positively sure they will, but I'm just for grins. I moved it to 0. And what's the odds of someone getting an account managed for 0? Oops. They didn't do too well with 0 fees, did they? How do you like that one, Jerry?
Yes, sir. Looking good.
Why did that happen, folks? Would someone care to explain to me if I moved the fees to 0, why I just destroyed them still anyway? Jerry, you got your mic open. Any conclusions? What knocked out this project?
The tax man.
The tax man. Bonnie, does that answer your question? I bet you weren't expecting that. Heck, I wasn't even expecting that. Bonnie's asking the question, and Jerry, I'll let you explain this. Why the 3.36 rate of return? Do you want to explain the difference of those two things so everybody understands this?
Go back to my
calculator.
calculator. Right.
Yeah. Go ahead. I think you do a better job explaining it than I do on that part.
In the world of managing money, they always want to talk about averages. And if you were to add up those 15 yearly averages for the S&P 500 and divide it by 15, that comes up with your yearly average of 4.62%. Now, as we know in calculating rate of return based on indexing, we know that if we start with $100,000 and end up with $150,352 after 15 years, we've got to subtract those two, 50,352 divided by 100, and divide that by 15 years, and you really find out the real rate of return is 3.36%. So it has to do with reality. Yeah, it's the same thing there. It has to do with reality as opposed to wishful thinking on the part of registered investment advisors and variable annuity agents that want to tell you their statements show average rate of return, which has nothing to do with anything other than make them feel good.
So now, Jerry, if you came across last night a Western Reserve policy, a person doing $200 a month in his 401k, getting matching funds of $200 a month, that had a $100,000 head start. Before we created these calculators, before we created these tools, would you have ever thought in your wildest dreams that you could come in behind putting in half the contribution and the guy's got a $100,000 head start? Did you ever think that that guy could beat you?
No, and it's because we're never taught that stuff. You know, I was securities licensed for several years, and you just never were taught those kinds of things. You were taught to do the things that the variable people wanted you to do, and never think outside the box, and never even consider indexing and understanding it the way you have articulated this over the many months that you've taught us. So it all has to do with education on our part as agents, as well as trying to get the consumer to understand once we get it.
Okay, now there's a question from Bob Keats who says, I guess I'm wondering why we're comparing a 15-year rate of return to an illustrated rate that's 25 or 30 years. No, our rate of return on the 15-year rate, actual rate of return, Bob, we're not allowed to even show that. Our actual rate of return on the LSW would have been for the same 15 years at 11.53%. The most we're allowed to do is do the 25-year rate of actual history of that indexing return, which would have been 8.2. I would love to illustrate 11.53, but they're not allowing us to do that, so we can't. So we're actually being conservative compared to what's going on right there. Does that help a little bit?
So Dave,
yeah, go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, Dave, this calculator was designed to be what you call a preview or a trailer, to give somebody an idea so you can teach the concept of indexing, how it differs between the negatives and zero, how that affects you. Then you can drop down to the next level and talk about the fees as they come out as a choice, and you'll see on the right side that the IUL fees are calculated there for the 15 years also. And then you can drop down and take the taxman into consideration and realize that at the end of that road, you've got Saver B doing a lot better. And then by clicking on that little negative to the right of that 174,620 and click the and, you'll see the 4 things that can happen in your life. Live too long, die too soon, or get sick, or need money.
Now, James Cowan asked a very important question. He says, why did I not put the $50,000 in the Phoenix annuity before the IUL? The answer, James, is that the Phoenix annuity product, while it delivers immediate income, the minimum age for income to be derived out of that annuity is 50 years of age, and this person was 37 years of age. And I've really been paying attention to what Ed Slott was saying, to not sit there and house it in a taxable status, to pay the taxes now. So I've been changing my thinking the last few weeks, and I think we should pay the tax and penalty. If we can get access to the lump sum money, the money needs to go into the index-like policy. Now, there's nothing wrong with guaranteed income and stuff of that nature when they get sick and bring it back out and buy an annuity. You know, we didn't even talk about that aspect of the illustration yet. All we did was went after the indexing portion of this case right here. We still have, in this policy, couple other factors. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to run the report, and we're going to extrapolate the other two numbers from this report. How many people here now believe you won the money game part of it? You took out risk and took out tax man. And Jerry, you have to admit, this is a great, for our model that we're doing right now. Person comes in, goes to a workshop. What more do you want from a model than this?
It brings it down to the level of, holy cow, I got to do it myself, and I can see how I can use this for many other people in my book of business that I might have as an agent.
Now watch this. We've got a death benefit of $528,000. If my client dies before 65 or age 70, that's $528,000 for the widow. She can take that to the land of Lincoln, pick up a $150,000 bonus, draw her income on $650,000. We'll talk about that in a second. Or she could put that $650,000 into an index universal life contract over 5 years and leave it alone as a widow. I've got a living benefit. Should be close to $400,000. Not sure exact figure. I'm scrolling down here right now. I've got a living benefit 30 days from now, $428,000. Now, this guy got sick, and I want to put this on a whiteboard because sick can happen. He's got $100,000 right now in his balance. He's got $100,000 of taxable asset that if he wants to access it, he's got to basically spend between 40 and 50 cents on every dollar he spends. Or I give him a non-taxable asset of $428,000, and I'll ask the question of Mr. Price, did I just recover my taxes for moving the money?
Yes, and then some.
I recovered my tax position. I recovered my insurance costs. I recovered my fees because I only put into the deal the $100,000. And that cost me to move it. It cost me $50,000. I just took, and I got back $428,000. Did I get my money back?
Yes, sir.
And more importantly, so as I'm drawing out $72,262 a year in a 40% tax bracket, that's $28,000 a year. Within 2 years, I recovered all my taxes that I would have paid in income tax off that money. If you want to go in your sheet and add up all your fees and expenses for that 20, 25 years, within 3 to 5 years, you've recovered every penny.
Hey, Dave, if you want to go back to my first page of that calculator, I want to make sure you understand something that's there that you might not.
This one?
The one on the right. No,
one right here?
No, my calculator.
I know. I know the fees are there.
No, okay,
right
now.
here.
Okay, go down 4 squares. See that little negative? Go down, 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 down. Beside where it says the difference of 174,620, there's a little minus sign there.
All right.
Click that. Drop that down and click and. And there's only 4 things that can happen to you when you as you go forward. You can die too soon. If you do, you get $600,000. Now that illustration there is this $40,000 or 40-year-old male putting $20,000 a year in for 5 years at $100,000. Is what that illustration is, and it shows the 486 925 is the living benefit, and then if you go to the next one, live a long time at age 70 to 85, you can pull out can't read it on my thing, 1.3 million. Over 15 years.
1,351,575, right?
Over 15 years, and then if you need money, you can go back to the 1 through 15, and you've got access to some of that money if you need it along the way.
So we're sitting here, folks. Is there any? I know we're getting more comments and questions, so I'm going to take a look at the comments and questions now. There's a lot of questions. Bonnie suggests you take off the penalties on dying for Saver A. I'm not sure what she means by that. Let's see here. Saver A, dying, penalties. She's right. If you die, you got taxes due, but there's no penalty to them.
It'll be in the next version.
It'll be in the next version? Okay.
Yeah.
What is the actual IUL cost an example? Okay. Here's the great news. Somebody said, well, what's it really cost to have the insurance policy? Guess what, folks?
It's right there on the screen if you want to do that one.
You're talking about right here?
Yep, that's it. That's the fees added up for 15 years.
That's all your costs right there for 15 years. That's $36,000 in fees. And that takes your actual rate of return from 11.53 down to 9.13. Not bad for a 15-year time frame. Let's see, any other questions here? Does LSW have living benefits options for clients with diabetes? Here's the deal on LSW. I'm going to answer that question on the whiteboard. And I'm addressing with all companies, really, but this is the reality. Only one of our carriers, Uno, will give living benefits to a rated-up person. With LSW, on not their signature IUL, but on their provider IUL, they will go all the way up to a 200% rate up. And that might get a person in a diabetes situation into an IUL with living benefits. So what I've seen in the past on the provider product, I've seen LSW think about it, and sometimes they, even though they've got that product that allows them to do that, they still have said no to living benefits to a person with diabetes and other issues. AIG Partners, which is AGLA, it does not matter what the rating is. It doesn't matter if it goes to reinsurance. To Table H on term, to Table Table P on permanent, if they issue you, you get them. They will not deny you. They do not take them off. It's the only company we have for raised positions. So if I'm doing a person with diabetes, we're taking them to AIG. It's just that simple. I mean, if living benefits is that important, and it is to me, I like the idea we can do a rated up living benefit case. Any other comments and questions? We're now 11 minutes on top of the hour. Well, folks, we had a little bit of education on software. We saw a case come in from our workshop. So I want to recap everything here. And Jerry, I just muted you. And I'm going to open the mic to Carlos Millsap and go with a recap of Carlos. Carlos, how are you this morning?
Doing fantastic.
Are you enjoying this a little bit?
Absolutely.
Kind of gives a whole new meaning to the elite group, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Carlos, a guy came in off a note that I sent out to my downline about 4 weeks ago. And he responded, and he went through a workshop. In fact, he went through the very first workshop we did on this project. And what kind of things did we want him to do? Well, he went through an interview. I learned about his family. I learned about his wife. I learned that he was an ex-FPG agent from long ago. Back he was in the Chuck Small era. It was strange to know. So he went back that far, and I believe he's here. If I look through all the people attending right now, I've got to believe he's here now. I'm just scrolling through the attendance list right now for the first time, and no, he's not. So from an interview standpoint, he went through the interview, and he got excited. put off a couple of days, and I said, okay, here's the deal. You want to get placed in the PNC office and all those things? Here's what's got to happen. So the first thing we did is he had to become a product of the product. The policy he had lapsed. We put him in an index life plan. He also wanted insurance on his missus. So the minimum $10 a day is where we started, because that was starting from scratch. So he got a $300 a month plan. We hadn't made any money for him yet. And his wife had just been diagnosed this past summer with MS.
Oh.
And I talked to underwriting at LSW. Initially, they were going to just decline it, but we had talked to them beforehand. We'd done pre-underwriting, and they agreed to look at a tentative Table 8. And guess what? That's a $201 term premium.
Wow.
So here's a person coming in, and from an internal consumption standpoint, that's $6,000 of business on the table. Do you like that project so far?
Absolutely.
That's a good project. But then he puts me on an appointment to place him in his PNC office. With the odds of us keeping $6,000 of premium if I don't place him.
It's pretty slim.
If I do not place him in an actual office space, that kills my model, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
But I did place him. And then what was the next step? Besides just contracting and doing all those other, hoops and ladders, what else did he have to do? He had to set up his website with VPI. He did. What else did he have to do? He had to advertise. His advertising commenced Thanksgiving Day weekend. And he has 5 people that have gone through the workshop. I have 5 interviews, and I did the first interview for him last night. And the above is what we found. I can tell you Robert McCarthy's on the call right now. He's done several workshops. And I'm going to open Bob McCarthy's line here because Bob's been working. And I know Bob was really, really excited on some things yesterday. So I'm going to open Bob's mic right here. Bob, unfortunately, you did not put your audio in, so I couldn't unmute you there. I wanted to unmute you really quick. But the point is, this structure works. Can you have living benefits for cancers by maybe cancer-free for 5 years plus? Absolutely, Nicole. No, if they're 5 years plus, I know where to take them. We can get them living benefits. They're 5 years cancer-free. Not a problem. And so I'm going to try again, Bob, how you can fix your things. We can unmute you. That'd be great. So, Carlos, that's a model, and that actually happened in your downline. What do you think of that model?
I love it.
We went to work. It took a couple weeks for the person to come in. This all took 2 to 3 weeks. Is that a better time frame than we were doing the past?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Time for bringing a person, getting them active?
Yes, it is. Much quicker.
Much better time frame. And then, folks, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to mute Carlos out there right here, but I'm looking at comments right here. And Bob, you just had to put in the audio pin, but you didn't put it in when you were logging in. And Cliff Andrews got that, the 5 years cancer-free. And, yeah, we'll call it Rob. Sorry about that. But, folks, as you take a look at that right there, we have a model in this agency where we can place an agent in an office, a prestigious office, create relationships. Imagine taking that case and giving 10% of that find. Wasn't a really big deal. It wasn't that big a target. It was only like $6,000 in target premium as I looked at it. But that's not a bad day's work, is it? But no, it's more. Ooh, wait a minute. Oops. time to adjust that illustration just a tiny bit. You know what I forgot to put in there? What a tiny detail. It's a little bit bigger case for my agent. I get to add something. And then, if you guys remember, we were replacing an insurance policy. So I've got to go back into my death benefit and funding. We picked up the money from tax position, so I'm going to go back into my death benefit here. I forgot to add the $250 a month that he was doing, so I got to add $250 to the 1035, so that puts me at $1285 the first 5 years. And then I get to add $250 to the amount besides the 401k money, so it's $450 a month. And now let's take a look at his income, and I'll leave it at age 65 for grins. I'll just do a quick view for my income stream, and let's see where we end up here. I got $764 death benefit for the widow. For my agent, I've got $8,000 target. If you take 75% of that, about $6,000 in income stream. Not too shabby for the agent. And we're going to scroll down to a new tax-free income of $110,270 projected at age 65. Almost probably close to $200,000 a year if we go age 70. And living benefit purposes, about 75% of 764, I would say about close to $550,000, $600,000 if he gets sick. That's way better. There's no living benefits in that Western Reserve contract. So now I'm going to go back up here. I think we've got everything in there we can get in there. Any other comments, anybody else today? I'll go to Houston, Texas, and we'll open the mic on Norvell Brown and congratulate Norvell on getting a big case issued yesterday. Norvell, how are you doing in Houston today?
I'm doing just fantastic. Just trying to get some business issued and enjoying the training. No doubt. Great ideas. Thank you.
Are you enjoying the new calculators?
Yes, sir. I am. In fact, I just sent the request to you about 10 minutes ago saying please give it to me because I wasn't able to get the entire seminar, but I've been here for a little while. I'm just loving it, man. Thank you so much for this.
I recorded today, and we sent you yesterday's calculator class. If you watched the 401k versus IUL yesterday, and then you'll take a look at this on your computer, we'll get this out to everybody tonight. I promise. We'll get this out to everybody, and we will get the calculators out to anybody that wants it.
Awesome.
We'll look at this here, and so Doug asked a question. Doug asked a question. So does he lose the matching from his employer, or is there another way to redirect? No, if he's not putting the money in there, he will not get the matching funds. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to prove that we can do better to him keeping that money at risk and getting the matching fund. He shouldn't do that anymore. And that's the whole point of this call. Norvell, you're a financial planner, CFP. Am I making that point am I making that point well not to do matching fund 401k money at this point?
Yeah, I mean, we just got to look at the numbers. If the numbers say we go to the right, we just go to the right. It gets to be unemotional at that point if we can sort of convey that to the client. So I like what you're saying.
I want to thank Jerry Price for the tools because these tools absolutely make a difference. I am going to do one last thing, but again, thanks for that comment there, Norvell. I'm going to close that out right there. And I want to go to Michael Andrews, our radio. Michael, any comments on today?
Well, I believe all the comments have been said. I mean, it's great thing we're doing here. I love the calculators as well. I'm really thrilled to see that we have those. So, yes, looking forward to receiving those calculators as well, sir. Yes.
Michael, now from a standpoint of building an operation around our workshops and our model, putting people in business, and this is a case of putting somebody in business, does this really build on that model a little bit?
Well, absolutely. Indeed.
If you were doing 3 of these a week, would you be happy?
Sure.
Can you see how when we said a person could get to $50,000 a month in life, we weren't kidding?
I'm sold, Dave. I'm sold.
Thank you. That is basically all I really wanted to hear. The tools are making a difference. I agree with that, Cliff. Folks, it is 9:01 in the morning. We're going to let you go here. Again, thank you. We will get this uploaded and get a copy. But today was another, I think, just another moment as we're moving forward. And I got to tell you something. I am ecstatic. We are absolutely moving in the right direction. So again, thank you, and we'll talk to everybody soon. Have a great day.